Climate scientist Alana Green discovers flowering meadows surrounded by ice fields 90 miles from the North Pole. Meanwhile, astronomer Zane and his partner Kelvin listen to outer space in the hope of catching a signal from extraterrestrial civilizations. He is distracted from this activity by a call from his girlfriend Shar. She is trying to drag the guy out on a date. Zane is ready to drop everything and go to the girl, but the long-awaited signal appears on the monitors of their equipment. The guys forget about everything and recheck the signal, but it fades away as suddenly as it appeared. The scientists manage to record the signals. In the morning, the men go to the central laboratory and show the recording to the director, Phil Guardian. They believe that the signal comes from the star Wolf at a distance of 14 light-years from Earth. But Guardian is not interested in this observation, since he does not see anything special in it. The man announces to Zane that he is being fired under the pretext of budget cuts. However, he promises to give the tape for decoding, but a little later, he destroys it. In the evening, Shar comes to Zane to calm him down and distract him, but she fails. In addition, there is incredible heat, not typical for this time of year. The astronomer constantly thinks only about the received signal. At this time, Ilana is trying to complete her research on climate change, but cannot get the necessary data from the satellite, which suddenly stopped recognizing certain gas impurities in the atmosphere. Meanwhile, Zane is forced to go to work in the telecommunications service and start installing satellite dishes. But he continues to look for a place in his specialty and learns that Phil slandered him. The man described him as an unreliable performer, prone to inventions. The man goes to the lab and gets to a lecture on climate change. He demands that Guardian return the tape, but Guardian calls security and the man is thrown out. Zane calls his former partner, but at this time the military is confiscating everything related to the signal they caught. Zane asks not to say that they have a backup recording, but Kelvin gives everything. Zane goes to work to Char, but the girl does not have time, since she intends to pursue her career. At night, Zane peers into the sky and thinks that the aliens can talk to him right now. Suddenly, an idea dawns on him. Television plates, connected in a special way, can serve as a radio telescope. Zane begins to mount an observatory in his attic. The man's neighbor Kiki is interested in his activities. Zane allows him to look at the equipment. The next morning, guys from the gardening office come to Kelvin's house. They wake up the astronomer. Zane agrees to take Kiki as an official assistant. It is he who manages to detect a signal identical to the one caught earlier. After analyzing the recording, Zane understands that this is a response signal that was previously transmitted into space from Mexico. He goes to Kelvin, but it turns out that his former partner died under strange circumstances. At this time, Ilana analyzes the information received from the air probes and comes to the conclusion that the Earth's climate is changing catastrophically. In the next 10 years, humanity will experience rapid warming, and one of the anomalous places is located in Mexico. The astronomer flies there, and at the exit from the airport, he notices a souvenir seller. And then he gets to a taxi driver who takes him to the radio station building. But it turns out that there was a fire there, and the building no longer exists. The man goes to the hotel, where in the evening he sees the same merchant again. Zane takes a bath and listens to the received message. One of them is from Char. The man listens to her confession, not paying attention to the water running down the walls. But then he sees a puddle on the floor and somehow manages to jump out of the bath. After which the ceiling breaks and the bathtub from the upper floor falls into his. And then both bathtubs break through the floor and fall even lower. Zane looks up and notices the souvenir merchant. The man begins the chase and drives the Mexican into a dead end. But then the door of the house opens, and while Zane is distracted, the merchant, like a grasshopper, turns his legs and jumps onto the roof in one jump. The next day, Zane goes to explore the outskirts of the town. In the same place, Ilana launches a probe into the sky. The astronomer manages to see a strange place in the jungle. He goes there and on the way sees how the power plant guards confiscate Ilana's equipment. She tries to protest, but no one listens to her. Zane tries to help the woman, after which they are both detained and taken to the power plant for interrogation. After examining the scientists' equipment, the guards apologize to the couple and say that this is a unique power plant of a completely new type. That's why the guards were so strict. Suddenly, the man sees an exact copy of his boss. He immediately ends the conversation and takes Ilana away. At this time, Gordon arrives at the site maintenance company and hires the same workers. The man prepares a suitcase with a strange metal ball inside. A little later, Kiki sees one of the men leaving Zane's house and locking it. The strange ball left in the attic opens up and sucks in all of the astronomer's equipment. Meanwhile, Zane and Ilana start a conversation in which they share their discoveries. The merchant enters one of the rooms and releases scorpions. Ilana shows Zane photos of the Arctic anomaly and reminds him that every disaster on Earth begins with climate change. The astronomer recalls a lecture on terraforming. Later, he walks the woman to her room, and it turns out that the scorpions were released there. Later, Ilana gets ready for bed, not noticing the deadly creatures crawling around the room. While Zane goes to call Shar, the girl tells that the company that built the power plant is building similar stations in third world countries. At this time, Ilana goes to bed, and a minute later her scream is heard. Meanwhile, Zane goes to explore the power plant in the middle of the night. He manages to get close to the fence, but suddenly a small installation in front of the entrance turns into a giant antenna. Then a taxi pulls up to the entrance, which Zane met earlier. The driver passes the scan and drives through the gate, but does not notice Zane, who climbed into the trunk. The astronomer manages to get inside, where he learns that all the power plant workers are actually aliens. The man descends deep underground and watches the process of the alien turning into a human. The creature changes the direction of the knee joint bend and imitates its appearance with the help of a new shell. There is an installation for the production of greenhouse gases, which are the causes of all the processes described by Ilana. He watches the device for some time until the alien notices him. The chase begins. Zane gets into the device for changing appearance and is completely transformed. He manages to enter the elevator, where a taxi driver appears nearby, who begins to suspect something. He asks Zane questions in his language, but he does not answer. The man seizes an opportune moment and pushes the alien out. Then Zane gets out. The alien's skin begins to blister and peel off. Zane gets to his car and hits one of the aliens as he leaves the base. After a while, the police stop him for speeding and send him to the local police station. Zane tells the detective about the incident at the power plant, but he doesn't find it convincing. Zane is accused of killing a man by running him over with a car, and then the man demands to see the victim's body because he is sure it was an alien. But when the body is brought, Zane sees that it is Ilana. The astronomer escapes from the station. He manages to join the Mexicans, illegally cross the border, and return home. Zane goes to Phil Guardian. When they find themselves alone on the street, Zane gets him to reveal that the aliens are planning to destroy the human race in 10 years through accelerated global warming, because the aliens themselves cannot stand the cold and are already remaking the Earth for their race. It turns out that the entire conversation was recorded by Zane on a tape recorder and a video camera. Gordon does not risk detaining Zane in front of everyone, and he runs away. Returning home, the astronomer sees that all his equipment has disappeared. He tells Kiki everything. When Char arrives, she is worried about the guy's behavior and wants to go with him to the observatory to broadcast the information obtained to humanity via satellite television. Kiki also gets into the car, but Char thinks that Zane has gone crazy and calls the police while he and Kiki turn on the equipment. And when the plate is tuned to the right wave instead of the police, a van of landscapers arrives at the observatory. One of them attacks Zane. Char sees a wound on the alien's body and is jumped. After Zane points a fire extinguisher at him, the girl realizes that her fiancé was telling her the truth. When Phil and his entourage arrive at the observatory, Zane asks Kiki to stay near the equipment and press the button at the right time. Together with Char, they run to the plate. The couple manages to lock the doors, but when Zane is preparing to broadcast the program, Kiki opens the door and gives the recording to Phil. Zane realizes that the aliens will not leave without destroying him. The man rolls a barrel of liquid nitrogen into the room, and when the aliens burst into the room, he freezes them, after which he tries to get the recording from Phil's pocket. A spherical device similar to the one used to destroy Zane's equipment, but more powerful, falls out of the hands of another alien. Zane orders Char to get out of the room, but the only way out is up. The girl climbs onto the plate, and Zane returns to Phil's pocket. But then the alien grabs Zane, and he cuts off Frozen's hand with an axe. The ball activates and begins to suck in everything around it, including the building in which everything is happening. The building collapses, and the plate descends to the ground. Char prays for Zane's salvation, and after a while he appears from the hatch. The couple sees Kiki standing below. Zane holds a tape in his hand and orders the guy to go to his people and tell them that their plan has failed, and soon humanity will find out everything. Kiki twists his knees and runs away. After a while, news about unprecedented heat is on TV, but the story is interrupted by a recording of a conversation with Phil, who assures that people have no right to live on Earth if they do not know how to take care of it.